Hey guys, so we're going to talk about bread and cereals along with probably hopefully getting into dairies. So we're finishing up chapter one. So as you can tell, we're going to be looking at breads and cereals should comprise of a 1/3 of your diet. Now, this is going to be dependent on the toxicity level and how nutrient dense your breads and cereals are. And as we continue on in this study of nutrition, you're going to start to see that cereals are probably not the most nutritious thing that's out there. And so we gotta consider this as we look at breads and cereals. More of with our food groups, I like to look at it from a standpoint of breads and cereals is quality, but is it the most nutrient dense? And so, but one thing that you can have is breads and cereals are something that it does hold a large fiber content, which is really good for regulating your bowel system and giving you other nutrients that you need for function. So fiber is something that you're going to find from breads and cereals. Another thing is, and you will see this in the PowerPoint that you can press on the link and it'll show you the best bread. It's called the Ezekiel bread, and it's a very nutrient rich bread, and you can make this on your own, and I gave you the recipe. And so if you want to try it out, go ahead and try it out. Shoot me an email and tell me if you did, and there might be some extra credit involved in that one. So one of those things. Now, they are high in carbohydrate, and this is only going... Now, the problem is we have this idea that high carbohydrates are going to make us fat and those types of things. What makes us overweight is that when we're inactive and we eat too many calories, and our calories for our, and also the nutrients for our body. So it's a combination. It's not just high carbohydrates is going to make me in fat. It's more about the inactivity and the amount that you're having that is going to cause this. Now, most importantly, make sure that if you're having issues with breads, you take it out and then you slowly add breads in. Like I told you about with sourdough bread. I can't have sourdough bread because of the nutrient of the toxicity level, and it's inflammatory towards me. So that's something to just be aware of. So serving size recommended is 4, but you have to realize 2 slices of bread is 2 servings. And so really it's not that much, and we have to be aware of that. So I just would say be very careful with the types of breads and cereals. Now, cereal, a low processed cereal and a cereal that doesn't have any sugar, now that's going to be a lot more healthy for you, especially like we're saying like oatmeal that is just steel cut oatmeal compared to the processed oatmeal that comes in little packets. You got to see the sugar content that's in those. So something that you guys are probably looking at as you watch this video, in the videos that I also show about sugar and the effects that sugar has on your body. So then we go into a new category, another food group is milk, yogurt, and cheese. Now, people love this, and we tend to, as people, think, well, milk is good for us because of calcium and it's good for our bones, and it's kind of what we're taught with when we're from a child. And as a child we grow and we have milk from our mother or formula or whatever that looks like, and then we move into milk based from a cow, but after a while we actually don't really need it, and so we can actually get calcium and other things from other sources. But if people like milk, then you add that to your diet. Now, just be aware what it does. Cheese is processed, yogurt is processed. There's a lot of marketing that goes into it, but it does have a lot of the B vitamin complex, which is very useful for us, and we need B vitamins. So we have to realize, if I'm not going to get it from milk or yogurt, I need to get it from somewhere else in my diet. And if I'm not getting it in any place in my diet, then that can be a problem, because then we're not getting the vitamins and the minerals that we need for just basic cellular function. So just be aware. Riboflavin is also another thing that vitamin that we need, and you'll see that a lot in cheese and milk. So those are things. Really, it's one serving. So one serving is 1 cup of milk. That is 8 ounces. So if you have a 12-ounce latte, you are getting enough milk. You don't need anything more because you have the coffee. And you also have the milk that makes the latte. You're getting as much milk as you need because it's going to be more than 8 ounces. So those are just some things. Another thing is that serving size with cheese is very deceiving. And later on in the quarter, we're going to look at serving size and what serving sizes are. And so just be aware that serving sizes can be deceiving on size because, like, an example is 1 serving size of cheese is 2 blocks of the same size of of dice. So 2 dice. That's what a serving size of cheese is. And I know what those of us that love cheese, we tend to have a little bit more than that, especially on our pizza. So that's just one of those things. Now, another food group that we're going to look at is the lean meats, fish, poultry, eggs, nuts, and legumes actually falls into this too. So legumes kind of float in between the fruits and vegetables, but also floats into lean meat. And the reason why is because of the protein content of it. All of your lean meat, your fish, your protein, your poultry and your eggs, they are all associated with protein. And so we need protein. That's a macronutrient that we talked about earlier. And so this food group is essential for protein and minerals. That's what this food group is most, you're going to see the most out of for your nutrient, your micronutrient base, and then your macronutrient base. Now, easiest way to get a source of iron and zinc, those are minerals that we will touch on a little bit when we hit up minerals and vitamins. Now, omega-3 comes from some nuts, but mostly it's going to come from fish. And it's cold water fish, and this has been linked to reducing the risk of a heart attack. And so we do need omega-3s in our diet, along with those sources. So for vegetarians, if you're a vegetarian, you're going to end up eating eggs, nuts, legumes, and that's a huge protein. Now, if you're a vegan, you're not going to even have the eggs. So, that's something that as an athlete you have to be aware of, that if you're not getting it from a meat source for protein, that you're going to need to get it somewhere else. Just especially for the protein side and also from an iron side and those types of consumptions. Now, 1 serving is literally the size of your hand, and actually just the palm of your hand. And that would be, this is 3.5 ounces is 1 serving. And that's the size of a deck of cards. So kind of crazy. 2 eggs is 1 serving. And a half a cup of a 1/3 cup of nuts. Which, if we have nuts, do we eat just a third? Usually a third is like a handful. And we tend to go for a couple extra handfuls. So that's just some of the other food groups that we're looking at. So we looked at breads and cereals, milk, yogurt, and cheese. So that's your dairy. So you have your breads as 1 food group. You have your milk and cheese as another, dairy, and then you have your meats. And so those are some of the food groups. And then the last food group that we're going to look at is oil and fat. And this is a way of getting quality fat into your diet, but also oil and fat kind of stand alone, and that it does provide some vitamins to your diet. So vitamin D and E. 100% fat is what oil is. So you're going to get 100% fat, and it's not a bad thing. There's been crazes going back and forth: high carbohydrates, low carbohydrates, high fat, low fat, and it goes all over the place. Here's the thing: we need protein, we need carbohydrates, and we need fat. We do need all of those. So we need all of those macronutrients. So just be aware of that as we kind of move forward. So you're taking your macronutrients, and now you have to find them within these food groups. So it's kind of this next layer that we just talked about. But most importantly, we're going to try to find this balance of macronutrients and getting a good array of food as we move forward with this. Okay, that's it for food groups, and we'll be looking next briefly just an overview of protein, fat, carbohydrates, and some other stuff. Okay.